The Goddard family disappearance, also known as the Affair Goddard, or the Goddard Affair, involved the disappearance of French doctor Yves Goddard, his second wife and their 2 children in September 1999. Clues to the mystery were gradually discovered. Traces of blood were found in the family home near Jouvigny-sur-Cèze in Calvados, Lower Normandy. It was established that Goddard and his 2 children departed on a sailing boat rented in St. Malo, Brittany, a few days before the discovery of the blood. During the course of the next few years, various objects were found on the north coast of Brittany, or at sea: a lifeboat, identity papers, credit cards, the skull of one of the Goddard children, and finally the bones of Goddard himself. The case was closed on 14 September 2012. On Monday, 30 August 1999, Yves Goddard, a 43-year-old doctor and acupuncturist, saw his patients for the last time at his practice in Caen, Calvados, Lower Normandy, France. The following day, Goddard cancelled his consultations, put his affairs in order at his practice and took his children fishing in ponds in Planquerie, 16 kilometers 10 miles west of Jouvigny. On 1 September, he drove a Gino Sun Odyssey 30 sailing boat, the Nick, from Pontoon E at the port of St. Malo. Goddard's children were also on board, Camille 6 and Marius 4. His wife, Marie France, was not on the boat with them. Goddard told the owner of Nick that he wanted to go on a cruise, as far as Perros-Guirec, returning on 5 September. He bought cleaning products and floor cloths in St. Malo before setting sail, and left them in his Volkswagen camper van, which he had parked at the port. On 2 September, French customs officers inspected Nick between Cap Quay and Cap Frehel. It was a routine inspection, and the officers noticed one of the children sleeping inside the boat. Nick proceeded on its voyage without using the motor once the wind picked up. One of the customs officers was intrigued by Goddard's behavior and checked his story with the boat owner in St. Malo. After the inspection, Goddard's boat seems to have remained for a few days near the Bay of Bruges, between Pluha and Plizac. Several witnesses in Bruges saw Nick between 2 and 5 September. Among them was a waffle vendor at the small port, who formally testified that Goddard and his children came to buy waffles from her on 3 September. The next day, Nick was spotted by a pair of walkers near the point, DEEMING in Plizac, apparently abandoned. Nick's small pneumatic dinghy was recovered by a fishing boat on 5 September, the day on which the boat was supposed to return to St. Malo. The dinghy appeared to have been abandoned 30 nautical miles, 34.5 land miles, 55.5 kilometers, from the Isle de Bats in the Finistère department. In the dinghy were a jacket and a checkbook in Goddard's name. Intrigued, the Maritime Gendarmerie in Roscoff opened an investigation into the disappearance. Goddard had still not returned to St. Malo by 7 September, where investigators found significant traces of blood and doses of morphine in his van. This discovery forced the investigation to take on more urgency. On 8 September, investigators searched the Goddard family home in Jouvigny, where they again found significant traces of blood in the bathroom, the living room and the parents' bedroom. On 10 September, a judicial murder investigation was opened, with Goddard considered the prime suspect and being made the subject of an international arrest warrant. The investigation was led by Judge Gerard Zog at the court of St. Malo. On 16 September, the blood found in the van was identified as being that of Marie France Goddard, whom no one had seen since 31 August. On 16 September, 11 days after the dinghy was discovered, amateur sailors off the coast of the Channel Islands of Guernsey and Alderney discovered a life jacket belonging to Nick. A week later, on 23 September, the inflatable survival raft of Goddard's boat was recovered half-deflated on a beach at Lyme Bay in Dorset, England, United Kingdom. Unusually, the raft's canvas canopy had been cut off and was missing. Although French investigators were leaning towards the theory that Goddard had murdered his wife and then fled, these latest discoveries brought chaos into the investigation. According to experts at the French Naval Hydrographic and Oceanographic Service, it was impossible for these items to have been found at these locations as a result of ocean currents alone. They had to have been scattered deliberately. Furthermore, the dinghy's emergency inflation device had been detached. According to the manufacturer, the dinghy could only have remained inflated for 72 hours after this device was removed. On 16 January 2000, 4 months after the disappearance of the Goddard family, a canvas bag came up in a fisherman's trawling net off the coast of the Isle de Bats. It contained numerous personal effects belonging to all the members of the family: clothes, driving licenses, insurance documents, checkbooks, the entire contents of Marie-France Goddard's handbag, binoculars and a hammer. On 6 June 2000, a seashell harvester's boat cast its nets along the bed of St. Brieuc Bay, off the coast of Iroquois. In the middle of the night, the dredger brought up a fragment of a human skull, which the fishermen threw back into the water. 4 hours later, another skull came up, which the fishermen kept. DNA analysis revealed that it was the skull of Camille, Goddard's daughter. Scientific analysts at IFRUMER concluded that the skull had been at its location since at least February 2000. This seemed to corroborate the theory that Nick somehow sank, claiming the lives of its 3 passengers. The area in which Camille's skull was found, which is close to where Nick was inspected by customs officers on 2 September 1999, was scoured by a mine hunter and the French Navy, but no trace of the boat was found. The investigation took on a new dimension when Goddard's business card was found on Sunday 11 February 2001 by a walker on a beach on the Ebihans archipelago, off the coast of Saint-Jacques-de-la-Mer. On 22 February, a bank card bearing Goddard's name was found on the same beach by a resident of Saint-Jacques. Then, on 24 May, walkers found a credit card, again on the same beach. Investigators searched the beach thoroughly and the examining magistrate ordered a minesweeper to survey the seabed around the archipelago, but again no traces of Nick were found. On 3 June, another credit card was found off the beach by a diver. These events led the investigators to believe that Goddard stopped off at this beach and emptied the contents of his wallet there. Further searches were carried out at the beach, including by a tractor, being used to sieve through the sand, but no more of Goddard or his family's personal effects were found. However, on 31 July, a 5th credit card was found on the beach. All these cards were analyzed at a forensic laboratory, whose experts determined that they had not been in the water for long before being discovered, and had therefore not been thrown into the water in September 1999. It is likely that they were discarded one by one into the water in early 2001. Investigators and the lawyer of Marie-France Goddard's family believe that it was the work of an accomplice who wanted to make it look like the deaths of Yves Goddard and his children were accidental. A briefcase believed to belong to Yves Goddard was found on 8 August 2003 in St. Brieuc Bay. However, investigators have never confirmed its authenticity, and it is likely that it was a hoax. On 13 September 2006, bones of femur and a tibia belonging to Goddard were found on the seabed of Herds Deep, 70 kilometers (43.5 miles) north of Roscoff. The French Navy mine hunter L'Aigle the Eagle was dispatched to the area to try to find a trace of the sailing boat, without success. Confirmation of Goddard's death brought about an end to much public interest in the case, but the mystery of the disappearance of his wife, whose body has never been found, and the deaths of Goddard and Camille, as well as the very likely death of Marius, remain unsolved. It was either an accident, a murder-suicide perpetrated by Goddard, or a family annihilation, carried out by a third party with Goddard's death made to look like suicide. Therefore, the court file was not immediately closed. On 14 December 2008, a plastic insurance card belonging to Goddard was found in perfect condition on the beach at Chapelle, which caused investigators to renew their efforts in the case. In February 2018, a child's skull was found at a beach in Pleuron, sparking speculation that it might belong to Marius. In the autumn and winter of 1999, following the discovery of significant traces of Marie-France Goddard's blood at the family home in Juvigny, large-scale searches were carried out in the region to find her body. These searches were suspended without success in mid-January 2000. They were resumed on 27 January 2007, a month after Goddard's death was announced. Following a tip-off in an anonymous letter, investigators searched the storeroom of a cemetery in Lingvers, less than 5 kilometers (3 miles) from the Goddard home. There, they found bones, which the letter claimed belonged to Marie-France Goddard. However, analysis revealed this was not true. A radiesthesist from Normandy claimed to be the author of the anonymous letter. On 14 October 1999, a hotel owner on the Isle of Man claimed that Goddard and his children had stayed in his hotel between 7 and 14 September. This was the first of a series of witness statements placing Goddard and his children at various locations all around the world. Sightings of him were also reported on the Isle of Lewis in Scotland, in South Africa, in Miami and on Crete. In early May 2000, investigations carried out in Madeira, where Goddard had opened a bank account, yielded no results. There had been no movements of funds since his disappearance. In 2011, Eric Lemossin published a book, L'assassinat de Dr. Goddard, The Murder of Drive Goddard, which shed light on a new theory relating to there being financial reasons behind the disappearance, even including links to the mafia. The book highlighted several murders of people affiliated to the French trade union, the Confédération de Défense des Commerçants et Artisans, Confederation for the Defense of Salesmen and Craftspeople, in which Goddard played a very active role as a member. On 14 September 2012, the examining magistrate ordered the case to be closed. In his summation, Alexandre de Bouchier, the Saint Malo public prosecutor, stated, "The only hypothesis we can exclude is that the family's disappearance was a simple sailing accident, and even if it is the most likely line of investigation, we cannot formally confirm that Yves Goddard murdered his family. The case is closed with no charges brought."